Hi, I'm Dale Powell, and welcome to that Spirit of Christmas. This is our very first podcast of that Spirit of Christmas. I've wanted to do this for a long time. Finally got around to doing it. We're going to be coming to you throughout the Christmas holiday. Then after that, I plan on doing the Spirit of Winter, the Spirit of Renewal for New Year's. When we get to Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, we'll do the Spirit of Poe. We'll have the spirit of love when it gets to be Valentine's. I plan to keep this going throughout the year, but now we're in the spirit of Christmas. Hey, this is Bear Creek. This is my home. This is where I have lived for about 6.5 decades almost. There's been a few times when I've lived away from here, but yeah, it's been about a long time that I've lived here. And the story I want to tell you, I think I'll just go ahead and read it to you. It's a spoken word song by one of the singing cowboys. It's called The First Little Christmas Bell. It was by Eddie Dean. Now, he was a singing cowboy in the spirit of Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. And I had this record when I was growing up. I think I was about 3 or 4, 1965, 66, something like that. And I heard that. And this song is where I got the idea to write the story that I'm going to tell you. So, yeah, this story has literally been brewing in my mind for 60 years. Okay, it goes like this. The First Little Christmas Bell by Eddie Dean. On the first Christmas night was a sad little lad who had no present for the Christ child, and he felt very sad. But the one thing he did own was a little tin cup, and a teardrop froze in it as he offered it up. So this is the story of the first little Christmas bell. The fame of the perfect little Christmas bell spread till Santa Claus heard about it. He heard about that tear that tinkled in the tin that made everything new and happy again. The fame of the perfect little Christmas bell spread till Santa Claus heard, and he wanted it for his lead reindeer. And since all over the world, everyone who believed this little bell was a perfect tone, and all the other bells tried to imitate its beautiful sound. The church bells tried, the school bells tried, the chapel bells tried, and the Liberty Bell, it tried so hard, it broke its little heart. So everyone around the world tried. Everyone realized the perfect little bell was a symbol of purity, like the babe in the manger, and all the perfection and goodness, like all of that. So the little lad offered all that he had, but he thought it wasn't enough, so he felt very sad. But the angels smiled because they knew well of the joy to the world and the first Christmas bell. If only we could all have the faith of a child, pure and understanding, undefiled. We all get the message of that little Christmas bell. God is in his heaven, and all is well. The first little Christmas bell is ringing. Joy to the world, its tone is singing. If you listen, you can hear that first little Christmas bell. Now, like I said, I heard that song when I was about 3 years old. And I don't know what happened to the record because I never heard the song again until this year, 2025. And I found the song on YouTube. The First Little Christmas Bell by Eddie Dean. Look it up if you want to. And when I heard it, now you have to remember I was a little boy hearing this, and in my mind, it was an old man who cried. So that's kind of the way my story goes, because that's what I thought actually happened. So here is my story of the first little Christmas bell. And I said it here on Bear Creek because, hey, it's where I'm from. So here is my original story, the first little Christmas bell. And I'd like to tell it to you, but I'm afraid I don't have it committed to memory, so I'll have to read it. Out on Bear Creek, where the hills lean close, and the winters go very quiet. There's an old house that sits quiet most of the year, not always. It's not haunted. Well, not exactly. It's just waiting, listening. And every December, right after the sun slips behind the ridge, folks say you can hear a tiny silver bell ringing up in the attic. It's not loud. It's not frightening. It's just one clear little note, like a memory deciding that it wants to be heard, that it wants to let someone know it's there. Now, Nolan was a little boy, and he didn't know any of that the winter that he and his grandmother moved into that old house on Bear Creek. They just liked the wide porch, the warm kitchen, and the way the snow drifted soft across the steps. They didn't know about the bell, but on the very first night in December, there it was. Ting! One soft note, gentle as breath. Nolan sat up in his bed. He listened. He didn't hear anything else. Well, the same thing happened the next night, only that time, ding, ding, two notes. The night after, ding, 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 three notes. Always at the same hour, always that same soft, searching little chime of a sound. His grandmother said all old houses settle, but even she didn't sound convinced. See, she'd heard the little bell too. By the seventh night, when the bell chimed 7 times, Nolan decided that was enough. He grabbed his flashlight, wrapped himself in his oversized hoodie, and climbed the narrow attic stairs, one careful step at a time. The attic was cold. He was barefoot. I hope there weren't any nails. Dust swirled in the moonlight like flour in a baker's kitchen. Boxes leaned in crooked stacks, the kind of shapes that look stranger at night. And in the far corner, he saw a wooden trunk carved with initials that didn't look like 2025. Nolan stepped closer. Then, right behind him, he heard ding, that little chime again. He froze and he turned slowly. The sound had come from the trunk. The lid lifted easier than he thought it would, almost like someone was kind of helping him. Inside lay a small tarnished silver bell tied with a red ribbon. And beneath it, wrapped in faded linen, was a tin cup. Old, worn, dented from years of traveling along somebody's life. Inside the cup sat a tiny clear bead, round as a teardrop, frozen solid. There was a folded note tucked beneath it. Nolan opened it carefully. To whoever finds this next, this bell belonged to my grandfather. Every Christmas, he carried his tin cup to the nativity in town and offered it to the manger, the only gift he had to give. One winter, feeling too small and too poor to offer anything worthy, he knelt down, and a tear fell into the cup. When they lifted it, the tear had frozen clear and bright, and when the cold air touched it, it rang just once, like a tiny bell. He believed it was a sign that honest love is never wasted, never forgotten, never lost. I have rung this bell every December to keep that promise alive. Nolan touched the little frozen tear, and suddenly the attic seemed to have a little more light. It seemed to be a little warmer, just a breath, as if someone gentle had stepped closer to see what he'd do next. He picked up the bell. It didn't ring on its own anymore, so he rang it. Ding! The sound drifted through the rafters, down the steps, across the quiet rooms that old Bear Creek house had settled there, soft as a promise. Don't worry, he whispered. We won't forget. He set the tin cup on the attic ledge where the moon could find it, and from that night forward, the bell never rang by itself again, because no one rang it. Every December, every year, and if you walk past Bear Creek on a snowy night, you might hear that soft ting drifting from an upstairs window. Kind of snowy tonight. I might take a walk. It's not haunting. It's not a warning. It's just a boy honoring a promise and a bell born from an old man's tear, reminding the old house on Bear Creek that love, once given, never loses its way home. And that, my friends, is the spirit of Christmas. Love your fellow man. That's what it's all about. How hard is that to do? Apparently, for some, it gets hard at times, but not for you, I'm sure. I'm Dale Powell. I hope you enjoyed this, and I do look forward to doing more of these. Now, please hit like if you're watching this on Facebook and follow me, and that way you'll be able to hear more. Now, once this gets on YouTube, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button, and that way you'll hear every time I put a new one out. But right now, I hope you are enjoying that spirit of Christmas as much as I am. Happy Christmas, everyone.